Hello, everyone. This is Tammy Fisher within the Doll World, and I'm here today with my wonderful co-host, Miss Georgette Taylor.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, Miss Georgette Taylor.
Hello, Miss Tammy.
Hello. And today, we're excited to introduce you to our friend, Tamara Casey.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be here with Miss Georgette Taylor and Tammy. Thank you, guys.
Hello there. We're happy to have you here. Tamara Casey, most of you will probably know the way that I know her has been the history with the Design by Jude. For years, I've been seeing her beautiful patterns on eBay and wondering who is this person who's making these incredible doll clothing patterns. And here today we have our beautiful friend and her beautiful patterns. Tell us about her doll history.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm excited too. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
I'm going to ask you the question we ask everyone. Tell us where your doll journey began and how it ended up with you being here with us today.
Okay. Well, I guess this is the crescendo of my whole career because I've ended up on the up and coming viral podcast of In the Doll World. I'm super. It's going to be viral. We've already decided. So that's excellent. This is really, really a nice opportunity to be here. So thank you both so much. My doll journey began maybe about 17 years ago. Okay. And it was just a random occurrence. Really, it really actually was. So I haven't collected dolls since I was a child, and that was just a short-lived experience. Like many people that knew Barbie or those type of dolls, I was a tomboy, as I believe one of the two of you had also said in the past, maybe. So I wasn't really that interested in dolls. My family is full of creative women who had a lot of experience in ceramics and porcelain, and they owned shops at different times and poured their own molds and did things like that. My mom is a really good sewer and a really accomplished quilter. I was never interested in learning any of that as a child. I guess as a kid, you don't always realize what your parents are doing is a really interesting and something that you could lean into. So I went off to college and never thought about it again. I graduated and spent a lot of time in the service industry, but later ended up buying or renting a space where I was a gift boutique owner that had vendors. So this was my entree back into the doll world. So one of my vendors that rented a space was selling a variety of collectible Barbies. And it was this crazy location where, you literally had to go to the craft store across the street to even know that my shop existed. And that was actually why people went there, which was great at the time. But the woman was selling these Barbies for $40 a piece. And it was, Wizard of Oz has always been a collection people sought at different times, irregardless of the edition of our collection. So I thought, I'm just learning about eBay. I bought one of her dolls, and within 3 days, I turned her $40 that I paid her into $175. So I was like, oh my gosh, eBay is this thing. And it was really, really exciting. I mean, it was kind of at the beginning of technology. For my understanding, it was never something that I was trying to get involved with, but hey, profit, you're in business to make a profit. So this seemed really good. From there, some of the retail stores were going out of business in our area. Toys R Us was one of them, as well as the Kmarts. So then I sort of started investigating, what do people looking for in the Barbie doll collection? And the collector Barbies were up to 90% off at one time. So my husband, who's an awesome supporter of this crazy merchant of Venice, which he likes to call me, would drive with me to different locations, and we would just see what was available for purchase. And then I would just buy as many things as I possibly could. Now, that might be a little bit of my retail mania because I don't really like to shop, but I do like to shop for things that I resell. So that was a lot of fun. From there, I started reading Barbie Bazaar magazine and just really honing in on what people wanted, what the hot items were. And then I discovered one-of-a-kind dolls, which at the time, not to be disrespectful to anyone who just saw that at the same time as me, but I thought, wow, people are gluing silk flowers on dolls, and that became art. I have a glue gun. I can make art. And so I would spend countless hours transforming thrift store Barbies into one-of-a-kind creations. And it was actually super fun. I mean, having two boys and no girls, this is my chance, right? To play with dolls again. And I enjoyed it. My relatives thought I was insane. They thought, what is she spending all her time doing? But I would, create something and then I would sell it on eBay. And sometimes it would be a big success. Got air quotes, right? Meaning like, wow, I got my time out of it, and other times it would be crazy. The right person sees it and they like it and they buy it. So that started a quick genre into repainting and recreating. It was a series of countless fairies. I don't even know how many fairies I made, and mermaids. And then it just got more and more advanced. Then you wanted to know how to repaint the face. And at the time, there were a lot of smart people coming up with paper pamphlets of how to repaint. And believe me, I bought them all. So that's the beginning.
That's awesome. I
Yes,
didn't know you did repainting too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't until I read her bio. Because again, I knew you as Designs by Jude. And so I read this bio and it's like, oh my goodness, you were around a long time doing all these fun things. And I didn't, I just been admiring Designs by Jude.
Thank
So
you.
great.
Thank you. Yes,
Yes.
I really enjoyed repainting. I thought it was really fun. It actually is an interesting process. Like a lot of your guests have said, they taught themselves to do this, they taught themselves to do that. And it was exactly the same thing. Like, who knew that the pupils of the eye should actually be facing in the same direction? I mean, you just don't, until you start painting, you don't realize what makes someone's product or, what they produce better than someone else's. But it's really those attention to details and learning the aesthetics of the face and things like that. Now, the reason that I don't really repaint anymore is I was never great at it. I mean, I was okay at it. I mean, I was in the top 100. I don't know if that's even a good thing, but there were people that were amazing, like Noel Cruz and these people, the lady that you interviewed,
Lori.
Yes. Fantastic. And I mean, I didn't need to compete with people like that. That wasn't necessarily my first skill, but I loved it. And that led me into doing a lot of competition dolls at the Tonner conventions and things like that. And that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had, just because it was a divergence from making patterns, right? It's really like, think about what you're going to make and then come up with how you're going to make it. And then tell your husband about it, who rolls his eyes because he thinks there is no way popsicle sticks on a skirt is going to be a good idea. And then he sees the final product. And then it becomes like this thing where he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that turned out like you thought. But that's I guess it's the vision and the execution. So that was some of my best fun times, to interact with people. So
that is so cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty neat. Yeah. So because I know you were saying that your mom sewed earlier, do you think that that's why you started doing more of the sewing and pattern making?
I think the real reason was once I was aware of eBay, at the time when it first started, it was a lot of garage sale stuff, right? Go to the thrift store, find something out of print and sell it, and you make a profit. So I just like that idea of finding the treasure. So that was a lot of fun. But then after that, when I really started looking at what dolls were popular and what people were looking for, what was the supply and demand aspect of it, that to me got me thinking about those Tonner collectors. So then I was aware of Robert Tonner, and then he was putting out new product. So my first pattern that I did was in 2005 for Marley Wentworth. The motivation was not because I wanted to make a pattern. I didn't even know how to make a pattern, to be honest. I wrote it on a piece of paper, which is actually, I guess, the way you make a pattern in essence, right? But it was because the collectors and the people on eBay were saying things like, there are no clothes for my doll, right? She came out in this cute outfit or these basics with pajamas, but I want her to be in a dress. And so it just clicked in my mind that there was a need. So I thought, well, all I can do is try, right? So my first pattern was put out in 2005. I'm sure it was terrible, but it did make the outfit. And later, I refined it and I learned more about what it needs to be. Before it was just, photocopy your own 8.5 by 11. But, after that, and then later in 2008, I bought the Fletcher Pattern Company. So now that was a real turning point for me because Gary Fletcher was a trained fashion designer. He went to a school to learn how to do that. That's not my background. I was a hotel and restaurant administrative grad, so much different. So he really had some great fits, some beautiful patterns, much fancier than any. I mean, I was with the basics, here's a pair of pants, here's a shirt, those type of things. He had things that you put a little zipper in and it fit. Now there was something to that, right? And it took me a while to catch on to how to do what he did, but over time it's kind of developed better, and even some of my early designs probably could use a revision, if you know what I mean, which is something that I'm trying to do right now to try to
nice. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So did Gary teach you how to make patterns?
Nope. I wish. I would have moved. I really would have moved in with him and just like learned everything he knew. No, but when I bought his company, he and his partner at the time came to North Carolina and spent like a week with us. And it was really more about his operation and how it existed. He had a Yahoo group with quite a few subscribers, and he also had a website, which I didn't. I was only selling on eBay at the time. So that was just a different captive audience. Plus he had a great reputation at the Tonner shows. I mean, people knew his designs, and he had the opportunity to be that person that provides the pattern for the shows. So I got to see how he was doing it. And plus he had great packaging. I mean, it was all about upping from hand-drawn to, computer aided design to a different package to just the marketing aspect. And it was really, really insightful to see how someone else was doing it. I really didn't know. So yeah, he could move in. He was a really nice person, as was David. Yeah, I enjoyed them a lot. So,
cool.
So how did you go from doing what you were doing to thinking, I want to buy his company?
Oh, one of my favorite parts of the story, and thank you so much for asking. So when I was at that time, so 2008, we won't reveal the exact age. I was very young.
You were 18, we know that.
Exactly. At that time, I was doing a lot of shopping at the doll market in Greensboro, North Carolina.
I remember that.
Right. And that was a huge doll store. I believe when I read an article about them at the time, they were one of like the fourth largest doll store in the world. But anyway, it was
we did a thing with the Big Beautiful Dolls there. We did a showcase there too.
That's really there you go. So you know exactly where I'm talking about.
Yep.
Well, I had gone there several times. My mom was the big doll person, but I had gone there with her, and we went and saw Robert Tonner there when he was signing dolls, and they had a very large selection, but they had a very small Tonner selection. So the doll market was a variety of stuff from porcelain, inexpensive imports to one-of-a-kind $5,000 artist dolls. So it was a real diverse doll store. And I love the Tonner dolls. That was like my jam at the time. And a lot of it is still my jam. So I met the owner, Jackie, and just over time, after starting to buy more and more items from her, she and I became, acquaintances or business friends. And she would, if you can appreciate this, Georgette, that giant doll store, she would announce over the loudspeaker, "Is Tamara Casey in the building?" And I was like, yeah, right. So what that meant was she was about to purchase a whole bunch of dolls, and she had that background in wholesale and resale. And she shared those great buys with me. I don't know why, because we were kindred spirits or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was so great. So I went from, I think I told you guys in my bio that the first big order that I placed there was $350. And I was with my mom, who lives near me. And I thought, I just feel sick. If my husband finds out I spent $350 on dolls, he's going to think I'm insane, right? And I resold everything. I probably made 500% profit on what I bought. And it was like Kingsgate dolls at the time. Well, years later, when I was seeing Jackie and she was announcing my name, I would spend $18,000 in one trip, and I didn't mind. And my husband did not mind either, because it was like, learning over time what was selling at the time. It was so fun. To get back to what you said, the reason that was so pivotal is that Jackie said to me one day, "I'm thinking about retiring. Would you like to buy my doll store?"
Wow.
Let's just review. Okay. I'm like 20 something with two small kids, barely able to pay my mortgage, selling stuff on eBay. Right. I mean, it wasn't like I was making a ton of money at the time. And she said, "Well, the business is valued at over 800,000, but I'll sell it to you for just $450,000. I thought, That's hilarious. Let me just go get my checkbook. I'll be right back. So, yeah, that was never going to happen.
Pulling out the credit cards.
Exactly, right. I was going to call you, Tammy, and see if you could like float me alone. But
hey, anytime.
The reality was, if she had never said it, which was such such a giant opportunity, but nothing I could afford. And plus, I didn't really know her business. I only knew the Tonard line, really.
Right.
But someone saying something to you that seems outrageous makes you start thinking like, no, but there must be a step between here and there that becomes the next step. I never even thought to grow my business by purchasing another business. So shortly thereafter is when Gary decided to get out of his doll part of his business and do like design for humans. And my mom saw it and she said, this guy's selling his business. You should contact him. He's doing something you're doing. And I was like, that's so weird.
Wow.
I didn't really know him until then. And it was like the perfect fit. And my husband, Joel, was like, hello, let's do it. So yeah,
nice.
That was the start. So if you think about that, 2008, I had maybe 50 to 60 designs. Gary, selling me his business and all the excellence he had put into it, had about 70 designs. And that's not, add those together, that's not even 150. Now I have over 1,000. So it has really launched, you know, what I'm able to do at home and things like that. So yeah, that was the answer.
That's so cool though. That's so cool. But yeah, like you said, I think she planted something in your head that made you think, and once that was planted, then you know, the universe works in wonderful ways, you know,
wonderful ways. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you were already open to that now because somebody's already, shown that to you. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. I know. I'm very thankful for that. Even now, it's one of the best steps in this business for me. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. I didn't expect your story to be this complicated.
Sorry.
No, not in a bad way. In a beautiful way. All these, but that's what we're finding with the interviews in the doll world. You walk in, we talked about this earlier, Gene Foot, we're going there because we need to capture Bill Lily's history and go from Bill Lilly to him being in the room where Barbie was first introduced and
unveiled.
So it's just, there's all these intricate links in the doll world, and you just don't we don't know about them until we start interviewing people. It's like, oh, I didn't know that you knew him, or that person.
And I think it's true too. Sometimes I think when people are sharing their stories, sometimes I don't think they think about the links as much until they start telling their story. Then they're like, oh, even in the back of their head, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know that like maybe, oh, that's how that linked together, or yeah, now I could see how that linked together for me. Like you said, you didn't know why she mentioned that to you, but now you know she mentioned that to you because down the road it was something there for you. You know what I mean? But you wouldn't have thought about that if she never mentioned that. So yeah, I love it. I love the journeys, and this is why we do this show, is just talk to people like you to find out what your journey was like, and all the little things that make you who you are along that journey. So I love it.
Yep, I really enjoy it too. And your guests have been amazing.
Thank you.
And you would think, especially since we haven't had an opportunity to be in face-to-face in a while at doll shows and things like that. And even with the changes in the market, they don't have the conventions. Boy, I miss those. But, to see people online, like, for example, Joseph, who we were speaking of earlier, and the Glamour Oz dolls. I am so thankful to even know that he exists and he has these beautiful dolls. So you guys are helping us to not only regain an enthusiasm for what's happening, but as individual contributors and artists, or however you want to term us. It's exciting to know that people still find great happiness in their dolls and collecting and otherwise, without the internet, we wouldn't know. We'd just be in our little sewing rooms across the world doing our own things independently. So this brings us back together, which I think is fantastic. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, me and Tammy love doing this, and
really
showcasing the people that that she can fangirl over like you, and that I can fangirl over, and not even that. I think it's just a matter of being able to share your story. Let people know what you do. You know what I mean? Why you do what you do. I think that's the most important thing. You know, what drives your passion, you know? And I don't think they could get a glimpse of that just by seeing your clothes. I think they get a glimpse of that by feeling you as a person. And so that's what we'd love to make sure that we bring to everybody. So yeah, thank you for your beautiful outfit.
One thing, I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but that something that has brought a lot of enthusiasm and joy to me and to a lot of other collectors in the doll world in the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, was my involvement with and gained knowledge of the virtual doll convention. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys know Rachel or the work she's done with Robert for bringing back some of his dolls, but what that woman did to bring back enthusiasm, and my mom sewing as well for dolls, felt the exact same way. All of a sudden, we got to touch the community again in a way that didn't exist before. And I know this is going to sound a little bit silly, maybe, but sometimes it's lonely being in your sewing room sewing without really having that connection to who's receiving your one item. You know what I mean? Or that pattern.
Yeah.
And you do, and people do respond on Facebook and do social media and things like that. But to have like a I don't know, encapsulated Facebook group where people are like, oh my gosh, I got your pattern this month and look what I made. I mean, and they just keep like reposting. This is a different fabric. This is a different pattern. This is a different, and I'm watching them create things from what I made. And I had never been able to really appreciate or see that in the volume that I have in this last year. So, you know, I think, well, now I know it fits because 75 people sewed it. So I mean, it's gotta be good, right? But it's also just seeing how much joy they take in that. And I think it's really been really fun for me. And I don't know about you guys, but being online, sometimes you just see certain people's icon or their avatar and you think, oh, I know them. I know Georgette. I'm gonna call Tammy. I mean, I know her. And you're like, I don't know you. I don't know you. But I mean, it's like you just feel like you do know them, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Something so in common. And it's nicer than just selling things. It's like really, truly having a relationship with people. And so when I have a chance to do that, it makes me feel really good because I'm really just this goofy woman that lives in North Carolina that like has this weird home business. So it makes me feel like I'm part of it with people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really appreciate that. So
we totally get that same thing. It's so cool. It's weird because even when I talk to people, I'm like, oh yeah, I do a doll podcast. They're like, oh, you know, it's like, well, what does that mean?
Tell them to check it out. It's going viral right now.
I'm excited about bringing people on like you, Tamara. So
Thank
excited.
you. Well, you know, one thing that I find really interesting too is the fact that it's fun, right? I mean, adults have a lot of responsibilities. We all know that, right? But I mean, one of our responsibilities is to remember to have fun. And life is, you know, full of other things that aren't that fun. But to share your joy and to just do something creative, I think is awesome. I mean, I do a lot of other things for work other than this, which I find to be fun and social and engaging and with personal interaction. But to come up with something, to see something and being inspired and think, how can I make that into a doll-sized thing? Or what is that? And it's not in a traditional way, right? Because I wasn't trained to sew by anyone that knows how to sew. I mean, I literally just make it up. It's like I'm reinventing the wheel in my own mind. But I'm just so jazzed by it. I think it's really great. And when it turns out, I love it. When it doesn't, not so much. But just go back to the drawing board, right? So that's what you got to do. One thing that has been really fun for me is with the collaboration with the Virtual Doll Convention is Rachel Hoffman had encouraged me to make a sewing video. And that was for her last convention, which was in March of this year. And here's how much I wanted to do that. I did not want to. I mean, I remember saying to her specifically, and I wasn't kidding, can I just give you a PDF with like some really clear pictures? Because I was horrified at the idea of appearing on camera. I mean, it's not that I'm shy. It's just that, you know, camera, I don't know.
Yes,
so anyway,
we know.
I mean, you guys do know, right? You look good on camera though, so it's totally different. But
Okay.
yeah, I just leaned in and I thought, okay, I'll just do it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? Are they gonna like, kick me out? They might. So I did do the video. I didn't even know how to like edit it or anything. I just did the best that I could, right? It did the best I could. The best part about it was during that virtual doll convention, that video streamed, I guess, as you say, live, meaning that people could comment on it as it was showing. And I could be on seeing what they were saying. And they were so encouraging.
Yes.
It was like all my fear just like melted away. Like if all your girlfriends got together and said, you got this, girl, don't worry about it. This is fine. It looks great. And even though it didn't look great, girlfriends are, they were encouraging. So from there, I also realized that people don't know everything we know, right? So I assume everyone knows how to sew. I assume I'm going to be redundant if I tell them how to do something. But they wasn't like that. They were like, thank you so much. I had no idea how to do that. And now I can do it. And it just opened my mind to seeing that people really do want to see how to sew simple things, complex things, to produce what they're trying to create. And so that's when I started my YouTube channel. And I mean, I look at some of those early videos and I literally mean just a few months ago, as in earlier. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I know we should.
I enjoy your videos.
It's just, I mean, it's a learning process too. But now I look at today versus 60 videos ago and I think it's better, right? People are learning something. And even like I always say, if you read a book or you watch a video and you get one nugget, something that helps you personally, it was worth your time. And so that's all I'm trying to do is just give people a chance to see it. They may not do it like me, but maybe it gave them the nugget of how not to do it. I mean, you just don't know. But that has been super fun. And it made me get out of my own way and just try, right? And what are we going to do? Right? We're all in high school again with, giving the speech in front of the class, having a nervous breakdown. But the truth is, it's okay. It's okay to be embarrassed and not be perfect. It's okay just to try. So here I am in the doll world, just trying. What can I say? So.
But I mean, that's what we're doing. And that's how the show has evolved, and just almost daring, it's like, well, what if we did this? Well, what if we did that? Well, what would happen if we did this or that? Well, worst case, awesome. Worst case scenario, we would be where we are today. Well, let's do it, and we can continue from there. I have a question for you.
Okay.
So someone told me that they thought that people who design doll clothes and do the patterns, the people who do the accessories, really are people who long to make their own doll. Do you find that to be true for you?
I have 2 dolls. I told you, Jacob and Joshua. Those are my dolls that I made from scratch. No, not for me personally.
Okay.
I don't have a desire to do that. I think there's so many beautiful dolls on the market already. I had no idea this is what I would be doing with my side hustle / full-time career that I do now. I mean, this wasn't even, I don't even know how this started. It's like, how did this start? It's just turned into something that was very successful, and I just leaned in and stayed with it. But it's not born out of wanting to create my own doll.
Okay.
No, not necessarily. No.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I would say, unlike a lot of people, I live vicariously through my dolls in a different way than a lot of people. I love to wear sweats. I'm totally a gym rat, and my dolls are glamorous and wear foo-foo clothes and are in style. I mean, my dolls have more stylish clothes than I've ever had in my entire 50 plus years of life, So to me, that's the beauty of it, that I can appreciate fashion without being a fashionista of my own. So I think that's kind of fun. I think it's fun. My mom said, make sure you just put something nice on for the interview. I mean, like, the fact that she has to tell me that is not a good sign. But what can I say? So
that's awesome. Tell your mom we said thank you.
Oh, exactly. I will. I absolutely will. I'll tell her.
So I know you design outfits for your dolls and one-of-a-kind outfits. So like when me and Tammy, when we first started the show, we wanted to have certain people on. It was part of our list, right? What list do you have? So do you have a list of people that you really just want to design clothes for their dolls? Is there people out there that you have it that you'd like to do that for? And hey, I mean, everybody has their list, I think. people
That's
that they
right.
want to connect with or design for? Who would
Well,
that be?
I would have to say, based on the fact that you're building this great awareness of artists I've never had an opportunity to know of before. And I said this before we started talking, that I think Glamour Oz wants me to, get one of their dolls for sure and do some really beautiful outfits for them. I mean, the dolls themselves are inspiring. So I felt so motivated by the dolls that I saw there that I thought, I could really create something beautiful. And I'm going to buy one. So you guys will see patterns for the doll as long as Joseph doesn't
Nice.
mind going forward.
I'm sure he would love it. And I'm sure that the community would, because Glamour Oz dolls, I mean, if you look and you know the history,
gorgeous.
He's got 10 dolls in that line. And so it's even though it's one line of dolls, it's 10 small limited editions.
True.
And so I think part of the way that he was able to manage his costs was he had one outfit made for each doll. So it's not like you can go and buy Bindi Miranda and Lucy Lay's outfit. There's one outfit per doll.
Right.
So there is certainly a market there to.
Of course. People love to play with their dolls. I mean, they love to dress them. They love to put them in dioramas. And as I said at the beginning, that's why Marley Wentworth got that first pattern, because she was cute. She was on the market and she only had the schoolgirl outfit. Who wants to wear a schoolgirl outfit all the time, right? So, I mean, and
That's
what
true.
I said for his doll, the one that I think is really beautiful, I said, she has kind of a whimsical spirit. And she's very glamorous looking, but I see her in some retro prints. It's the redhead with a very unique hairstyle. I love that doll. And she needs to have some groovy clothes. I mean, she needs to channel some 1970s fashion. And I have some ideas for her. So when I get her, whether I win her or buy her, I'm going to think of something for her.
Okay,
for
so
sure.
Joseph dolls. Okay.
Tell Joseph that.
Yeah. So are there any other dolls? You have at least another one that you would like to design for?
One of the challenges of creating patterns for dolls is there's far more dolls than there are hours in the day. So all the time people are like, I mean, constantly, what about this? How about Ruby Red Galleria? How about these different dolls? I mean, everyone has their favorite, but every time you add a doll, the more I add, the less attention I can pay to each doll. And I already have 64 different lines. So everyone that I add, like if they get one pattern, that's really not helping that much. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
If you can spend time, like obviously Tyler has a ton, Elowen, those type of dolls, but I have some of the more expensive Kingdom doll, the Mods doll, those type of dolls, beautiful, but they only have 5-6 patterns a piece. So I have to be really careful about adding too many at a time because I don't really service people. I mean, that sounded weird. I don't really serve people by just giving them an alternate dress. You know what I mean? They're like, no, I want to sew a wardrobe for my doll.
A wardrobe, right?
Versus like, I mean, especially if they're only buying 1 or 2 dolls and that's their main collection or focus. They're like, well, that was kind of a letdown. I only got one basics pants and a shirt. There's the pants, so yeah. The fun part about doing the patterns, though, is even dolls that are kind of historical now, Sissy and Madame Alexander, things like that. Those are really popular patterns that I sell still. So there's that older generation of collectors or the offspring of those older generation that are playing with dolls that we would consider vintage now, but they're dressing them too. So you could do it for everyone. I mean,
nice, very nice.
Yes, that's cool. Yeah, and I think that with Joseph's dolls, like I said, I think that it would be great to have clothing made specifically for them. But I think we talked about this before we started the show. From a mathematical standpoint, Joseph designed those dolls so well that they can wear so many other dolls' clothing. And I think that that's part of the attraction for Glamour Oz. In my opinion, that makes those dolls special because you can do so much with them.
Right. And that's actually something that I've come across a lot. So some people will ask me, why do you have so many 16-inch dolls in your collection? So anywhere from Tonner all the way through that assortment of Sybarite and all these different dolls, which are similar. That's the key. They're just like humans. They're similar, but not the same. There's none that are exactly the same, because Tyler and Jean can share some clothes, but the tighter the fit or the more contoured the pattern, the less likely they can share. Because that quarter of an inch, or I mean, right? Yeah, super skinny. So anything on the lower body, as long as it's a skirt, they could share, but pants they could never share. So I think the key with any line of dolls is to find which doll of another manufacturer is closest, and then look at the fit. And if it has a zipper, it needs to be almost exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I have so many patterns. Like if you looked at them visually, you would say that looks like the exact same pattern. She just put a different name on it. And that's not really true. It might even just have a smallest amount of adjustment at the waist or the bust or whatever. And then it's a different pattern for a different doll. But not everyone collects every doll. So you want the pattern to be the best it can for the specific doll that they're buying for. So that is good. That is good that his dolls are sharing a lot of beautiful fashions, because the dolls you mentioned have great clothes already.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I have a question for you about your future. What do you see? Look into the crystal ball.
I will. All right, I'm looking in.
What are you saying?
I don't know. Now that I've arrived at it's in the doll world, I pretty much I'm done. I've arrived at my destination. I think that eventually, as I age, say 20 years from now, I might not want to do this anymore. I will convert all of my designs to PDFs and I'll sell them in perpetuity, which is going to be awesome. And then I'll just travel the world with my husband, because he loves to travel. That's like his jam. So, but right now I'm just enjoying it. I'm still having a lot of fun with it. I'm learning a lot about technology and social media and YouTube and Pinterest. I mean, it's almost like the time right now, I'm looking back and thinking, why did I do things halfway? I don't mean that in a bad way, but I started an Instagram account 4 years ago. I never posted anything to it ever. I actually did a YouTube video on sewing in 2016 and posted it to the internet and never went back and looked at it until this year. I didn't even know I had a YouTube video out there. So, it's like you move towards technology and you think, okay, maybe I'll try that. But now is really the time when that's what's holding us all together. So I want to learn more about that and be better at it. I want to be better about what I'm putting out into the world as far as the quality. And then I also want to improve everything, the camera angle, the fit, the pictures, the ability to download and things like that, all of that. So I guess that's what I see myself doing going forward. It's just hard when you have the quantity of stuff that I have out there to go back and fix it. It's hard. Like to fix the listings, to say doll pattern in the first 30 characters. I mean, who knew I was supposed to do that,
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm only moving as fast as I can move, right? So,
exactly. That's what's happening in the doll world. Yeah.
That's right.
You're growing like crazy. And it's me and Georgette and me and then I.
That's right.
Then
the two of you and the other two of you. Yeah.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it though. It's good. I'm very blessed. I feel super thankful for what I have. And I know one of the questions I always am not humored by, but that I always notice that you guys ask people, and you might be able to ask me if I just let you get a chance to ask, let me not ask you, is the question of when you ask people if they're able to make a living.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I know that's a.
So Tammy, you can ask that question.
Okay.
Ask that question, Tammy.
Okay. So Tamara, one of the questions that we commonly ask is, are you able to make a living with your art? And so I want to ask, that of you so that you can tell us how that goes for you.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to say yes. I'm happy to say yes. Now, I don't know that that's always been the case, because I've had the business for a long time and I've worked outside of the house at the same time. Okay. But really putting my energy and focus into what I do right now, I can clearly and honestly say I make a very nice living at what I do. But I would preface that to say that I, unlike a lot of guests that you have a passive income stream, whereas I create the product and then that pattern will sell in perpetuity. So that original Marley pattern from 2005 is
Mhm.
still selling. I mean, although not gangbusters, but still selling, into
Yes.
2021. And I don't have
Yes.
to redo the work, right? The
Yeah.
PDF is formed. I run the file to print the pattern and it's ready. So the fact that I have 1,000 patterns available now is really great. And all of those are available in PDF. So one thing I did to set myself up for the yes was I converted my patterns from tabloid and legal to A4. That way, people in the international market were able to buy the PDFs as well, because with shipping and the postal nightmare and all the things that are happening, people don't want to pay $12.95 for a pattern and ship it for $14. That just doesn't
Yes.
really make sense. But if they
Yes.
can buy it and download it and it works for them, that was a big decision. It took a long time, at the time I didn't have as many products, but it took a long time to do that conversion, and that has paid off in spades. I also went from one market of selling on eBay then to getting the Fletcher Pattern Company website through Gary, and then selling on Etsy, and then expanding to Amazon. So that also is like 4 revenue streams versus 1. And then I also have a pretty good product mix. So the patterns are passive. Like I said, when I retire and travel the world with Joel, I can always sell those PDFs, but I also sell doll wigs, doll shoes, the fashions that I make occasionally. I participate in online virtual conventions with sales rooms. And so I don't generally like to sell to sew. I don't like to make the same thing over and over. But when I know I'm going to do it, when I'm doing it on purpose, those are really profitable to have the opportunity, since there aren't in-person conventions. So I think the combination of the digital products, the passive income, and the product mix has really been what has turned this into a hobby, into yes, honey, you could retire, but don't, because you still got 5 more good years. Right? So I'm so thankful and grateful to the people that buy products from me and that have supported me through the years, because like you, Tammy, some of those people knew me when I just had that one hand draw pattern, and they're like, oh, I remember Marley, I remember that pattern, and it's just so fun that the same people are still involved in the business and the art of collecting and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful to hear that you are making a living on that. And thank you so much for sharing how you do that, because
so I was going to say,
it gives people an opportunity to see, how they can diversify, you know what I mean, what it is that they do, even if they do create a doll, there may be a possibility of creating something else that can give them some passive income. And so you breaking that down, really, I think that was really, really wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
Yes.
Really
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I would really, really love to do, and I'm not ready to do it, I need to do some research and things like that into it, is I would really like to figure out a way to share some information with people about how to do their own home business. Because
I
think that'd be brilliant.
That'd be great.
I mean, just because I want to give back, because people don't, they don't realize that they can do it. They buy a book that says how to start a home business, and it's so confusing and complicated. As soon as it starts with, do you want to be a limited liability corporation? How about you just sew one thing and see if it sells? Like, let's just break it down into the least common denominator and see if you even like it. I think you don't need a whole business model to wade into the shallow end of the pool. And there are some beautiful seamstresses. Anybody that's ever been on Etsy, more even than eBay, because you see consistent, tailors sewing their things, knows that it's a profitable business. And if I could reach out there in computer land and say, stop selling your beautiful items for such a cheap price. I mean, I see things that people put out there and I think I would pay twice for that. And you're not even giving me a chance to tell you, because you're selling it for $30, I mean, there's a lot of information that I think it should be free and easy to find for people to have success in their home business. And it's not sewing scrunchies and masks like all through the pandemic. I mean, there's there's some other things that you could sew.
Lots of scrunchies and masks.
Yeah, I mean, right? The 10 things you should sew during the pandemic.
That's funny.
It should be showing sewing sweatpants.
That's right. I will buy those, by the way.
Exactly.
I'll buy a mask too. But,
that's funny. But no, that's great. That's great advice, and I'm sure that would be a great opportunity for you to be in that space as well, because you have you have done it, and you bring all that knowledge to the table. And I think especially people who are in the doll world and in the artist world, you know, need to have a better understanding of how to run a business and to look at the other options that they have even within that business and how it can be constructed differently. You know, so
right. And I think
That's
there's room
great.
for everyone to start out small, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to be great at it. You can even just try it and not decide to do it. But if you do it and see success in it, you might decide this is the side hustle that you're looking
Right.
for. And it could
Right.
become a full-time job, or it could just be a fun hobby that, you know, that you
making
make a
some money.
profit at, a little bit of
Right.
extra money, right? Send your kids
Right.
to college.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, if you're sending
yeah.
your kids to college, you've passed the side hustle phase and you've actually arrived, just saying. So, yeah. So.
That's cool.
No,
Very nice.
yeah, that's important, because that is
Mhm.
something that we commonly see or hear about. And when you're in the space with the creatives, this is, someone shows you something, oh, I made this, or I did this, and it's some fantastic thing. And to them, it doesn't have an economic value. It makes them happy, or I gave it a try to see if I could do it, but they don't see it as a possibility of a way of making money.
The thing about the reason I think that there's a need for individual creators of like sewing, for example, to have someone to show them. I mean, it's not necessarily me. There's obviously a lot of ways. I will just give you a brief example. So I watch people sew beautiful things all the time, right? But the thing that I've seen, okay, the online marketplace has received a lot of negative, you know, flack, I guess, for a better word, where people will say, I don't sell on Etsy anymore. I don't sell on eBay anymore, right? So I have this philosophy about my business, and I think it sustains me. And that is, no one's coming to my yard sale to buy something from me for $80 for a doll. That is not going to happen, right?
Yes.
I don't have that capacity to convince someone of a value when they're looking for a bargain. When you're in front of people online in all those different forums and you're able to reach the world through the computer, you're going to find someone that sees what you do and finds value in it. So to give you a very brief example, I was at a doll show one time and this lady came up to me and it was a few years ago, and she said, I'm the one. And I was like, okay.
Okay, Neo.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Is it the blue pill or the red pill? She said, I'm the one that bought the medieval outfit from you. And I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm the one who bought that medieval outfit. So she did buy an outfit from me on eBay that sold for over $400, an outfit without a doll. And that freaked me out, right? I was like, who buys an outfit without a doll, right? So I was waiting for her to decline the bid, to retract it, to say she couldn't buy it, that she lost her mind, that it was her 5-year-old that bid on it, whatever. And that would have been fine with me, because karmically, like I said in my bio, I don't believe I sell anything I can't take back. I can't do this and try to figure out if people are telling me the truth or not. I just trust that what they're telling me is the truth. So if someone said, look, I'm sorry, I drank a 6-pack and I bought that outfit for $400 and I can't afford it, I want your mortgage to be paid. You don't have to buy it, right?
Right.
But the way she said it with such intensity, I'm the one. And I did remember, and the outfit was actually called Enchanting. And it was one of the best outfits that I've made. I thought the pictures were great, but certainly $400 was a lot to pay for it. And then she said, I'm really glad that I bought it. And I thought, oh, good, you know. At that show, she ended up buying my competition pieces too. So I thought that was fine. But the point of that story isn't that I sold an outfit for $400. It's if I believe that eBay or Etsy or a platform for selling is the evil one and they're taking 20% of the fee is not worth it, I would have listed that same outfit on like Etsy for, you know, $75. And I made $400. So there is still a place in the auction marketplace to sell to a wide world of people something that they want at a price that you could not command in your yard sale or in a fixed place market. So to me, I think people need to keep that in mind. And that's why they go, I'd rather sell something for $30 10 times than one thing for $300. And I just think that you really need to think about if your stuff's worth more than 30, maybe you should just try to get more for it and spend less time on making the other 9. So I think those are some things that people should consider. Now, some people just like to do that kind of piecemeal work one at a time, and that's profitable too, but it's a different approach. So.
No, I totally get that. And that makes so much sense. And even when we go to value what it is that we do, I mean, that's the type of thing that helps us to set a price and to put a true value on what it is that we do. Because I think that so many of us who are in the doll world are playing. And so I think that when we do a customized doll, or we make a wig or a dress or a pattern or whatever, so much joy went into doing that. And it was so much fun that sometimes it's hard to say, what should I be paid for this? Because I got paid for that in joy. And that's part of the journey that we're on right now, is how do we make money and
monetize.
What do you charge? Who do you charge? What does money look like when you
are hosting a show?
Yeah, well,
what do you do?
Invaluable, Georgette.
Yeah, but for me, it's not just hosting the show.
No, I know. I mean, there's other little things that sprout out from that,
No, it's for me, I come here and I spend 4 hours a week meeting incredible people. They tell me their amazing stories. We laugh. We
make friends.
Yeah, we make friends. It's like, let's write Tamara's name down so when COVID is over, we can go hang out.
I know, right?
I'm coming over. Soon,
Carolina,
we're getting your ticket, Tammy.
I'm getting it.
Georgia, here we come.
But that's, for me, so how do I, and people tell us, thank you, and you're doing these great things for the community. We hear all that all the time. But part of it for me is, I am so blessed to be in a space with someone who I love. I absolutely adore Georgette. And to just, I mean, it's hard. So I think that,
no, I understand that.
Yeah. And so for you, and you're making these outfits, and it's like, it's so much joy. It's hard to, when
you say it's hard to put a price tag on the joy that you feel.
Yeah, because it's like, I got paid in joy. I was blessed.
Well, I like joy too, Tammy.
But it's,
joy don't pay the bills.
And cameras, and we have all these other things. But I think that from the vantage point of a creative, I think that there's always that, and especially for those of us who don't put out a lot of money to do the thing that we do. So I think it's harder for some of us to decide what to charge for those things that we make. So I think that it's important for people like you to come on and to tell us, think about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Well, to speak to what you're saying, I think it really does depend specifically what your output is. I think it's easier for artisans that have fixed product costs, and then they try to do some kind of evaluation where they say, on average, you should pay yourself a minimum of $20 per hour. And then this X thing costs $4 to make. And then you got to do the packaging and the shipping and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the whole thing costs $17. So you should charge at least, 40% mark. I mean, I don't think that's the way people should value art, or, I mean, I don't consider what I do necessarily art, because I think I'm more of a product person. I'm delivering a product, and then people are making their own art out of it, right? But when I produce an outfit, I also don't think that's art. It's not the same as making a doll in my mind, right? So I wouldn't say, oh, well, it takes me sometimes 2 hours to come up with a new design and 10 hours to get it converted into a pattern, right? So it should cost X amount. No, I make a pattern and I sell it forever and I'm happy. I love it when it takes less time to make it, right? But if I was doing a doll, I noticed with some of your guests, for example, the lady that I recently watched who did those really unique one-of-a-kind dolls, she's making 1 or 2 to 3 a year, and she makes every single thing on the doll, right? So if someone that would see her beautiful work would appreciate that she makes every single thing, the fabric, the yarn, the hair, then her doll should be of immense value, right?
Yes.
But if someone just thinks, oh, I like the overall aesthetic of the doll, and 500 people would buy it if she didn't make the hair and she bought the hair. You know what I mean? She's putting a lot of time and energy and care and effort into what she's producing. And then as the artist, you're thinking, this took me countless hours. You can't really put a price on
Can't put a
that,
price on that.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to decide, do you want to be an artist that can command the money, or do you want your art to be out there? There's a lot of different avenues to do it, right? One of a kind dolls are absolutely beautiful, but you can only give those to one person. So if you can share your art with more people, would you not want to do the original piece like some of your other guests and then produce 300? Now 300 people get to appreciate your art. Is it less artistic because it's a production? I don't think so.
Yeah,
you know, but again, there's a market for both. So
and the person you're talking about is Valerie Gladstone.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And she knows how to make everything just like that other guy.
I know. Yes. I love that attention to detail that she has. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I certainly value what she does and the understanding and listening to her tell her story, and then how each of her dolls is a story.
Tells a story. Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. And like you said, I also get Joseph, who's got 300 of this one doll and 300 of that one doll, or what. There is room for all of them in the market. Yeah,
I agree. And I think what you're saying is true. Not everyone is going to do it the same way, and not everything can be monetarily valued in the same way. So I think a question that people should ask themselves when they're deciding to start a creative adventure for money is that the number one goal, to create for money? And if you do, you need to decide where you can save money to make money. That's the profit model, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing that because you want to bring beauty to the world and your true joy is to create, and it's not necessarily that you need to sell it, then I think that model of I have another job, but this is my passion, hobby, and joy that I can share is also sufficient. But you need to go into it knowing what's your goal.
You need to know that goal.
Are you trying to make money? Or, I mean, you can do both. They do cross over, but there is a specific path for making money and a specific path for being a really detail-oriented, fantastic perfection artist. I mean,
that's true.
And then we have joy in all. And you guys in the middle are the ones that are helping us see that spectrum and support the village that Tammy's talking about. Like knowing the awareness that there are people out there will drive people to both sides, right? And I think that's really cool. So thank you again.
And we appreciate you being here. Every show is different because everyone's journey is different. And so when I reached out to you, I was expecting to get this interview about making clothes and patterns. I was not expecting to get so much about being an entrepreneur and an artist and how do we price the things that we make. And that's critical in this environment. What you're saying is so important from the entrepreneurial standpoint. And it's not just from the entrepreneurial standpoint of people in the doll world, but just if you want to do a business.
Well, it is a balancing act, and you do have to find that balance. And one thing I would say to anyone that's trying to do any type of business related to dolls, just anything, right, is it's an evolution. The process is an evolution. You don't just wake up, say, I'm going to sell a bunch of clothes on Etsy today, start a store, and ta-da, it worked, right? I mean, you get an idea, you put it out there, you see how it works. And one thing I always say, I'm a personal trainer on the side, is you show up, you're perfect the way you are today, and all we can do is work with it and make it better, right? Like you accept where you are, and then you make a plan to make it better. In doing that, though, you look at the plan as you go along and say, not working, switch gears, working, stay with the course, you know? And sometimes I think people just think, I'm not in a business, and today I am. It doesn't work like that. You say, I have an idea, I started the business, maybe it turns into the best thing ever. Maybe it turns into something completely different, like what you're saying with the podcast. You know, you started it as a passion project, and now it has an opportunity to be a more business, well, not more business focused, but something that results in a successful business as well as a passion project. So you just have to be willing to evolve with it as you go forward. So I just think it's sad if people try and just assume it's an easy fix, you know, like it's just going to work. And then if it doesn't instantly, they assume that's not it. Maybe they just have to wait for the next bell, right? That next idea. And that's how it happens, you know, for all of us, right? You started with
Yes.
dolls and now you're doing doll podcasts. And I mean, I just think it's
True.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. You started liking dolls and then you start making clothes for them. Who would have thought that, right?
I started feeling bad that Robert just had that poor little 12-inch doll with only one
Right.
outfit. And
This has been such an amazing interview. I in some ways don't want to wrap it up, but this interview, we will certainly have to come back and talk to you again. We'll find some reason. We will
That's it.
interview you again.
that's it. We'll do
This
it.
has been just amazing.
Yeah.
So we would like to ask you to let us know how people can reach you, if they want to buy your patterns, or you know,
Mhm.
how do they reach out to you?
Okay. Well, I invite them to. Thank you. They could reach me for pattern purchases and accessories on my website at FletcherPatternCompany.com. If they want to chat and visit, they can find me on Facebook under Designs by Jude or Tamara Casey. If they want to watch some sewing tips and watch me be embarrassed on the camera as I sew my excellent fashions, they can go to my Designs by Jude YouTube channel. And if they want to call, no, I'm just kidding.
Jenny,
555.
867-5309. Jenny.
Call me at Georgette's house. I'm going to go visit her and Tammy's meeting there. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. I mean,
it
Yeah.
really has been.
Yeah.
it's been a great interview, and yeah, I'm looking forward to our next one. Yeah.
Me too.
No, well, thank you so much, Tamara, for being with us in the doll world. It has been, as Tammy said, an amazing show. It has
Definitely.
been such a joy getting to know you.
Yes.
You know, beyond your beautiful designs, just getting to know you and all the things that you bring to the table to be able to share with this amazing audience that we have. So I'm sure they're going to just really enjoy enjoy your journey just as much as we have been enjoying you sharing it with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. It's been super fun. I wish it would go on all day. But...
Yeah, me too. Me too. Very cool. Okay. Well, thanks. We'll talk to you
Thank you.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Sounds
Bye.
Bye. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.